I must admit this decision was a big disappointment for me. How could the court look at the actions taken by government and not find them a violation of the First Amendment? Easy. By placing a standard of standing that no one could reasonably reach. I'm not sure why the court chose to stand with the illegal actions of the federal government, but they did. And because of that, we can expect more censorship, especially with the coming 2024 election. Now, remember when I asked you to keep in mind the goal of federal agencies to prevent misinformation? Nothing in the Constitution delegates to the federal government the authority to define what is and isn't true. As time went on, the very things these federal agencies claimed were misinformation turned out to be true. In other words, these agencies were not preventing misinformation, but propagating it. They were not protecting the public from bad information. They were the ones spreading the bad information. This is why the freedoms of expression, speech, press, and assembly are so important. By suppressing facts, data, and information they did not like, all while promoting their own misinformation, the federal government harmed many more than the plaintiffs. They harmed everyone who was expressing their ideas and the facts and data to prove they were right. More than that, government kept vital and life-saving information from the public. I remember being called grandma killer for pointing out the problems with masks and the fake mRNA vaccines. Now we find out it was those in government who suppressed the limitations of masks and the still untested mRNA shots that were the ones endangering the lives of others. They also suppressed information about treatments that, at least anecdotally, proved effective in treating COVID-19. Not only did this needlessly endanger the lives of millions of Americans and billions around the world, but had these treatments been properly tested and found even more moderately effective, there would have been no need for the emergency use authorization and the billions of U.S. tax dollars funneled to the vaccine manufacturing companies. Neither would have been the opportunity for the vaccine mandates and all the damage they did. We found out that there were those in government who not only manipulated the 2020 election using their lies to scare people away from polling places, but placed their thumbs on the scales to bias the news regarding the candidates and their actions. The American people were lied to by their government, and this court couldn't be bothered to see that fact. To the other point I asked you to remember, it was not a single person who committed these crimes, but dozens of officials at varying levels of the federal government. They used their offices to protect positions, and in doing so, corrupted our election, which led to the January 6th demonstration and the abuse of many of the defendants. Yes, what these federal actors did was a crime. They willfully deprived the American people of rights protected by the Constitution of the United States. In fact, it was not a single individual, but a conspiracy to do so. Not only should the court have looked at the merits of the case, they should have referred criminal charges against the appellants for violations of 18 U.S.C. Section 241. If two or more persons conspire to injure, oppress, threaten, or intimidate any person in any state, territory, commonwealth, possession, or district in the free exercise or enjoyment of any right or privilege secured to them by the Constitution or laws of the United States, or because of his having so exercised the same, they shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 10 years, or both, and if death results from the acts committed in violation of this section, or if such acts include kidnapping or an attempt to kidnap, aggravated sexual abuse, or an attempt to commit aggravated sexual abuse, or an attempt to kill, they shall be fined under this title or imprisoned for any term of years, or for life, or both, or may be sentenced to death. Worse than the crimes this court has allowed to go unpunished is the destruction of both wisdom and liberty this decision perpetuates. As Benjamin Franklin, writing a Silence Do-Good, stated in 1722, without freedom of thought, there can be no such thing as wisdom, and no such thing as public liberty without freedom of speech, which is the right of every man as far as by it he does not hurt or control the right of another. And this is the only check it ought to suffer, the only bounds it ought to know. Without the ability to express our ideas, public liberty becomes a hollow shadow. And being denied access to information, we not only lose the opportunity to be exposed to other ideas, but the ability to think freely without some master curating what we are allowed to know and what we can think. Where is wisdom and liberty then?